despre orientările cu care Comisia va veni în scurt timp legate și de investițiile în apărare și investițiile în domeniul energetic și de modul în care înțelegem să fim parte a construcției europene și să protejăm economia și cetățenii cât mai rapid de efectele negative ale puseului inflaționist pe de-o parte, dar și de încetinirea economică care se resimte la nivel regional. Aș da cuvântul domnului comisar european pentru câteva cuvinte, după care o să luăm câteva întrebări legate de această întâlnire și pe agenda acestei întâlniri. Mulțumesc!
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Minister Câciu. I'm pleased to be visiting Bucharest and to have started this visit with a meeting with you. Of course, the visit takes place in quite challenging times because we all know that the war raging at our borders is dominating our agenda. It's a war provoked by an aggression. It's an attack against a free and independent country, and Ukrainian people are defending their land with courage, but they are also defending freedom and peace in Europe. So also for this reason, we are inspired and we appreciate the efforts of the Romanian people with more than 500,000 refugees entering Romania, and some of them, part of them, staying here. Later today, I will have a visit to the Humanitarian Assistance Center at the Gara del Nord. With the minister, we discussed also the impact of the war on our economy. Our economies were strongly reopening after the pandemic crisis in the beginning of this year, and we expected both at European level and in Romania a strong level of growth, around 4% of growth. Of course, the impact of the war will affect this growth. We see already impact on inflation. It climbed to 6.2 in the European Union and 7.9 in Romania in February, and we can expect that these figures goes further up. And then we are seeing the rise on energy and food commodities. We are seeing disruption on supply chains, and we are seeing a certain level of uncertainty bringing down confidence among consumers and investors. So I think that if we act together, coordinating our action at EU level, we can work to limit the impact of this crisis in citizens' and investors' confidence. We can work together also on energy storage, energy procurement, and of course we should insist in the climate transition, so in our strategy for the Green Deal and the energy transformation. Essential in this moment where the war risks to affect our economic growth is to keep recovery on track through our recovery and resilience plan. Of course, these plans were drafted before the war, but they are important, extraordinarily important now, because they are a driver of growth in a difficult situation. So I'm quite satisfied of the cooperation going on between the Commission and Romanian authorities, but we all know how hard we have to work to implement a plan that is almost more than 29 billion for Romania, and it's a unique opportunity. We can't lose this opportunity because of the war. We have to answer to this crisis, also the crisis of the war, implementing this plan. So thank you again, Minister. I think we had a very good conversation, and this is basic for our cooperation. Grazie. Thank you.
Questions. We have some questions. Okay. Since the war started, the prices for wheat increased by 30% on the European stock market. What is your expectation for the future? And will we assist? Will we have a food crisis in Europe? How much will the prices continue to increase?
Well, indeed, there is a. We speak frequently of the energy crisis and less on the food commodity prices, which is also a big consequences, of course, because of the role that Ukraine and Russian agriculture have on some commodities. You were rightly mentioning wheat. We have similar problems with other commodities. Increase was indeed 30% since the beginning of the war, but let me be crystal clear. This impact, if we look to food security, will be an impact for developing countries, especially in Africa, especially countries like Egypt, the northern Africa countries, or big countries like Nigeria, or countries where drought is already there, especially in the eastern part of Africa. There we will have potentially dramatic consequences in terms of food security and social consequences. In Europe, we don't have any risk of food security, food supply. We have inflation, we have prices, and we have to address this risk, but without overlapping the price increases with food supplies and food security, which is not at stake.
What can Romania do to reduce the fuel prices? Because we had an attempt to reduce the excise, but we were not allowed.
Yes, well, the union is based on rules, of course, and I think there are two sides of the coin. First, yes, member states should react and are reacting to the increasing costs of electricity or fuel. According to our estimate, member state already spent approximately 0.5 of their GDP at EU level to cushion the increases of fuel and electricity prices. So this is not only legitimate, but I think completely right to do, because especially for more vulnerable households, the impact of these increases is very high. At the same time, we have to keep coordination, and my services will come in the next weeks with further guidances on what kind of derogations to the rules that we have on energy taxation could be temporarily allowed in this difficult situation.
A question here. Elena Dacu from Economedia. Countries like Germany already announced their intention to use funds from the resilience mechanism to other destinations that were initially settled. Is there a discussion at the EU level, or and the decision will be at the EU level, or can it be a national decision? And if there's a discussion at the EU level, do we have any domains for the redistribution of the funds?
Well, of course, these decisions are decisions taken by member states with the European Union within a European framework. If Germany or other countries want to amend, adjust their plans, the mechanism is there to do so. You can't amend, adjust your plan because you decide it. We have hundreds of pages of regulation of the regulating also the circumstances allowing some amendment to these plans. And if the circumstances are there, and they are quite limited, these circumstances, proposal of amendment could be sent to the Commission, and there is a period of negotiation. So it's not something that someone decide, oh, I want to change the plan, because I think we have the responsibility towards all 27 member states to implement what we have decided in common. You may remember the decision to deliver this plan took 5 days and 4 nights for the European Council to be taken, and then months with the Parliament. So this is a regulation. Is this something crazy in the evolving situation after the war? I don't think so. I think that the main goals of these plans, the green transition, the modernization of our economy, the resilience of our societies, are still the big commitments that we have ahead of us. Then, of course, we have to find common response to new tasks, for example, defense, for example, refugees, but this is not something cancelling the importance of implementing recovery and resilience plans.
If you allow me a follow-up question to what you just said, where do Hungary and Poland stand in terms of this? Have they made any progress? Because Poland is one of the countries that's also been hit by the refugee influx, and they haven't yet received any disbursements from the resilience fund.
Well, Poland is, of course, now a country strongly affected. 3.5 million refugees flying Ukraine, more than 2 million going in Poland. And a substantial part of those are still remaining in Poland. This is different from other neighbors where numbers of remaining are 20% or in some countries even 10%. In Poland, there is a larger number of people staying, also because they want probably to go back in Ukraine. And this is perhaps the easiest way. So full support, emergency, humanitarian and refugee money, political support, of course, and hopefully we will find the necessary agreement also for the recovery and resilience plan. I have to say we are not yet there because there is a single issue that is still under discussion among our services and the Polish authorities. But I think with a reasonable attitude we can solve this problem and support Poland also through the RRF, as we are doing with several other means at European level.
And one last question. In your opinion, is the so-called peace dividend over for both the East and the West countries? Considering what's happening. The peace dividend, yes. If it's
well, that's a big question. Overall, I don't think so. I think that at the end we can put an end to this war. Of course, put an end to this war doesn't mean that we sacrifice independence of Ukraine. But we will have consequences. What kind of consequences? First, strengthening our common defense. This is, I think, a good thing. I would have supported strengthening our common defense also 10 years ago, 20 years ago, much before the war. But this is something new from this crisis. Countries, for example, Germany, changed their attitude in a matter of weeks after years and years. So very, very important. Other change will be a little bit of securization of the globalization, but not going back to protectionism, not exaggerating with this discourse of decoupling globalization between friends and enemies, but having a more secure globalization, which means narrowing the supply chains and understanding that global crises are possible. With this caution, I think that the peace dividend will remain and strongly remain, and the fact that we have countries like Ukraine, Georgia, Moldova asking to join the European Union means that this peace dividend is well perceived.
The member states will have the possibility to reduce the excise duty on fuel prices?
Well, I was mentioning before that yes, they have, but of course the level of this reduction should be coordinated, and this is the guidances our services are providing in the coming days.
În această situație, practic, mai sunteți interesat doar de o asemenea măsură de reducere a accizei la prețurile carburanților? În situația unui răspuns negativ, ce alte măsuri pregătiți?
Așa cum am anunțat, măsurile vor fi anunțate de către guvernul foarte scurt timp. Practic, și această vizită a domnului comisar este una care vine în calendarul discuțiilor, pregătirilor pentru pachetul pe care îl lansăm. Am mai spus, o să și vedeți măsurile, discuția pe o anumită măsură nu este una utilă pentru societate până nu apare ca fiind agregată într-un pachet de măsuri. Pentru că pachetul de măsuri trebuie să privească atât companiile, și iată a apărut cadrul temporar despre care am anunțat că discutăm la nivel de ECOFIN și de Comisie Europeană cadrul temporar de ajutoare de stat care prevede o serie de posibile soluții pentru companii care au fost afectate de creșterea costurilor, dar evident și măsuri care să privească cetățenii pentru a combate pierderea de putere de cumpărare și a lăsa, dacă vreți, o mai mare posibilitate cetățenilor să se exprime prin consum, astfel încât țintele de creștere economică să fie păstrate împreună cu investițiile private, investițiile în economia privată, dar și investițiile publice. Deci, exact asta era și mesajul. Nu renunțăm la obiectivele pe care ni le-am asumat la începutul anului din perspectiva creșterii economice și pe acest an. Mulțumesc!
Thank you, Commissioner.
Grazie. Thank you.
Mulțumim foarte mult. O zi bună. Mulțumim. Okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you.